This has got to be one of the craziest endings I have ever seen to a fight in my life of watching MMA and boxing, because in this fight, so obviously I talk about the Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards fight, the main event for the welterweight bout. Initially in my preview, I said I felt that whilst I think Edwards is good, he'd have to be very technical, stay on the outside, stop Usman from taking him down. And I just felt Usman's wrestling would be too much and he would set up something with the strikes. He didn't really land anything at Edwards. Edwards was pretty tight, but for this fight, the first round of this fight, Edwards shocked everybody by taking Usman down with a beautiful trip. It was huge. He was on bottom in mount, and it was reminding me a little bit of the Gustafsson and John Jones fight, where nobody expected John Jones to be taken down by Gustafsson. Everybody said that, because of what happened with some of Gus's losses, that's what would happen. But took him down, surprised everybody. Edwards did the same. But then after that, it became essentially a repeat of the first fight. And it was pretty much second round, nothing much. Usman took him down, did the same thing. Third and fourth round, he took him down a lot easier and was pressuring with the strikes. Edwards kind of turned up a little bit. And Dean Thomas actually said that he felt like Edwards was broken. Mentally, he was just gone, because he was not. He was looking at his what was he saying? He was saying that he wasn't like giving his coach eye contact, and that kind of made him think that, or made him come to the conclusion that Edwards was done. Evidently wasn't the case, but we'll get on to that. And then in the fourth round, he was doing very good. Usman, right? As I said in the preview, people know Kamaru Usman is my favorite fighter today. I've said this a lot of times. However, this guy was grabbing the cage. The glove grab, I was a bit unsure because Edwards was doing it a bit as well. But the cage and some of the sort of groin strikes were, especially the last one, I think it was the last round of the fourth round, he made out like it really hurt, but again, it wasn't really on the below the cup. So Usman's crafty. He does this quite a few times. He grabs the cage. He does the little groin strike. I think Klitschko used to do the same in boxing, where he would use little tactics. Floyd was the same. Everybody would do these sort of things, just to sort of gain that upper hand. But it's not great to see. You want to see it, be fair. But he was doing a lot of these little things, and I think it was annoying. I can see on social media, annoying a lot of people. Edwards, I think, did it once, a cage grab, and he got cautioned. Or not cautioned, he actually got punished for it, and they had to reset the whole position, which I didn't really get, because Usman did it a few times, but I don't know, maybe he just didn't see it. Again, he's crafty, Usman. That's what he is. He did this in the Ultimate Fight as well, but either way, irrelevant, because we got into the fifth round, and it seemed like it was just a pattern of Usman throwing a lot of strikes, shooting on Edwards, taking him down, trying to do damage, doing all this stuff. And then, just before we approach the fifth round, Trevor Whitman says to Kamaru Usman to just hold him, try and do some damage. He's tired, and he was tired, but let's not get twisted. You can see he was fading as the fight was going on. But even fading, he isn't completely gassed. He is still there. He can still do stuff, and he took him down. Usman it was a little bit like an old school fight. Kind of kept him down. They didn't really do much damage, but was still trying to do stuff. He was advancing in some positions, trying to land some ground and pound, but it was pretty much one-sided the whole fight. Usman won 2, 3, and 4. He was only going to go one way. And in the fifth, he was winning it completely. It was a one-sided fight. And then they stand up, and then absolutely out of nowhere, Leon Edwards sort of faked the jab, made Usman move his head off the centre line, go to the side, and Edwards came up with a beautiful head kick and KO'd him cold. And now, the UK, we have our second world champion after Michael Bisping. That's Leon Edwards. A beautiful finish. He never ever stopped thinking. It reminded me a lot of Matt Serra and GSP. But even with all that, his corner said, he's there for a reason. He never once stopped believing that he was going to win that, Edwards. I do believe that. And there's something to be said about that. There's some fighters you can kind of see the fight is beating out of them. That never ever happened with Edwards. He was constantly there, constantly trying to do stuff. He just wasn't opening up enough, is what I think the issue was. And I said I feel like his best way to win would to make it a technical fight. And he had moments, but again, Usman was just so heavy on the pressure going at him. And when a guy pressures you like that, that's why majority of Usman's opponents tire, because that pressure is just too much for them. The only ones who didn't I say Gilbert Burns and Colby Covington. And reasons those guys never tired, I think, is because they fight like that as well. So it's like you're meeting fire with fire in a way, and it becomes a dog slugging fest. And either way, though, an incredible knockout. It was like Valentina Shevchenko's knockout of Jessica I almost, because it was shin to the head. Usman was out cold from it, and like I said, it was win-win for me. I didn't really mind who won this fight because, like I said, Usman wins, he's my favourite fight. If Edward wins, we're getting champion in the UK. And I almost felt more joy almost in this way because Edwards was so disrespected throughout this whole flipping 3 or 4 years. You got the whole of the UK going on about, and don't get me wrong, I think he's a good fighter, but going on about Darren Till being the one to bring the belt back. And it's almost like everybody almost just completely discarded Leon Edwards. Then you had the whole thing with Masvidal getting lit up, and everybody for some reason at the time thought that was a great thing, even though Masvidal just blatantly sucker punched him. And then he was getting constantly like swept aside for title shots. Realistically, he should have fought for the belt, and Masvidal shouldn't have, because Masvidal had 3 wins, one against Darren Till, which was a good win, but then against Ben Askren and against Nate Diaz. Don't know how that grants you a title shot, but it did. And then realistically, Edwards should have got that shot. And then after that, obviously, Gilbert Burns got the opportunity. But again, Edwards got almost screwed over again because Gilbert Burns got the opportunity based off of beating Tyron Woodley. And Tyron Woodley, if you remember, initially was supposed to fight Leon Edwards. And Leon Edwards couldn't fight Woodley because of the pandemic. And he obviously couldn't go over to America. So then Burns got the shot because of that. And then somehow Masvidal gets the opportunity again against Edwards. Again, over Edwards, gets overlooked. And the weirdest thing, they give the shot to Colby Covington because he beats Tyron Woodley, even though he didn't really deserve it. Like, it was just a complete... He got screwed over so many times. He should have had this shot a while ago. He had done so much work to get in this position. What was it, 9 fights, 10 fights in a row now? He's put together one of the most impressive streaks in the welterweight division. You know, it felt to me before, these two are two of the best welterweights. I'm not saying these two best because Colby's still there, but, you know, Edwards deserved the shot. And I say it, people made fun of him saying he's calling Leon Scott, saying he's boring, saying he's got no personality. Doesn't matter, it's about your fighting skill. And Leon Edwards did what Colby Covington couldn't do. This as much as everybody likes to talk about how great is, he couldn't do this. Masvidal couldn't do this. Gilbert Burns couldn't do this. They all fought Kamaru Usman and every single one of them got finished. Leon Edwards stuck in there against him, never ever once stopped, and showed why, whilst it's great to have a whole rounded skill set, you know, if you got that ability and that heart, and if you are able on the feet to find that finish, it is such a valuable asset. Sometimes you need something to pull you out of the fight. If you're a great wrestler, you can dictate what the fight is. But if you're losing that fight, you need to bring something out completely. And it's easier to do that when you're someone like Leon Edwards than if you are someone like Colby Covington or Gilbert Burns. You know, these guys didn't have it. Masvidal, talk about being a great striker, but he's gassed in literally all of his last fights. Leon Edwards stuck in there against Kamaru Usman, never once stopped and kept it going. And like I said, they all challenged for the welterweight belt. Every single one of them fell short, but Leon Edwards did not fall short. He went in there and KO'd a guy who I'd say, maybe not now, but at the time was tied with Alexander Volkanovski for pound best fighter in the world. So amazing. So put some respect on Leon Edwards' damn name. He is one of the best fighters in the world, and I think they're going to do a rematch. I don't know. I may still favour Usman in that, but could be going on if he can continue this, because I think Usman isn't that far from retirement, or at least going up and doing something different. If Edwards can keep the belt, though, if he can beat Usman again and we keep the belt for a while, you could maybe see the greatest British fighter that in MMA that we've ever seen. Because Michael Bisping, as much as I love him, he kept the belt, but then, he won the belt for Rocco, but then got put through hell against Dan Henderson, but won the fight, and then got choked out by GSP. If Edwards can almost defend it about a few times, it would show skies for all. And I said that I'd give Edwards a chance against Colby, against Gilbert Burns, against all these guys. He's the most well-rounded welterweight in the division by a distance. He's got way better boxing than Colby, Masvidal, and all these other guys. His takedowns are very good. His takedown defense, I felt, was... Yeah, Usman got him down a few times in the rounds, but just saw the little trip that he landed on Usman. You know, Masvidal was a great striker. He couldn't do that. You know, Edwards is just he just deserves this, I think, more than anybody because of all the stuff that he's had to put up with in his career. And welterweight champion. I did think Usman would get done in the fourth. For Usman, I think he probably will be so annoyed because it's not as if he fought bad. He actually fought the smart fight, Usman. He fought the smart fight for the whole fight. But I think Trevor Whitman's a great coach, but I think he cost Usman it because he told him to go a bit more aggressive, to do damage, to not hold on. If he held on, he would have retained his belt. Or the belt, because it's not his anymore, it's Edwards'. But, yeah, he'll come back to Usman. It was a bad knockout. It's like I said, GSP Matt Serra. It's a bit one of those. It'd be interesting to see if his chin's the same. At 35, is he going to be able to recover? Who knows? They're definitely going to have a trilogy. Usman deserves the rematch, and I think Edwards would agree. I think Edwards even said if he beats him, he's going to have to beat him twice, so he knows what he has to do. Get that fight in London, Wembley, or even anywhere in England. Nothing against Birmingham, but I don't think there's any like big arenas that can really hold it. But you need a big arena for this one. It's going to be an incredible third fight, and one of the biggest shocks I think we've seen in this sport for a while. And it was literally like, if anybody's ever watched Mickey Ward versus, I think it was Alfonso Sanchez back in the 80s. It was in the movie The Fighter. It was almost the same thing because DC and Joe Rogan and John Anik, and they weren't speaking wrong, was speaking as if Edward was defeated, it was done, he was accepting what happened, it was done, this and that. They were writing his obituary, and then he just came out of nowhere and just pulled out one of the most craziest knockouts I've ever seen in all my life watching MMA. And it may be, Joe Rogan said, it may actually be the greatest head kick however, considering what happened, the situation, the fight. It was absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, Kamaru Usman was a great champion, but sometimes you get caught. This is why this sport is so unpredictable. Usman does get caught quite a bit. He went a lot with the boxing defense, and I think, again, you can get caught with a punch, you can recover, but with a head kick, it's long because that is the one that is shin to the bone. That is very, very. You aren't recovering from that. Nate Diaz has been stopped once, and it was via head kick from Josh Thompson. It shows it's no joke. This sport, it's very dangerous, and this is why, more so than boxing, there is so little like margin for error, because if you do make that mistake, Usman's the best fighter in the world there was, and he got put out, not just put TKO, like he got put out cold in this fight. And yeah, Edwards doing the UK proud and doing himself proud, and one of the greatest, I think, post-fight speeches I think I've ever seen. I was so happy for Edwards. Like I said, nobody in the division deserves it than him, I don't think. None of them. Not Masvidal, Colby. Like I said, they couldn't do it. Masvidal was a great striker. He couldn't do that to Usman. Colby's a great wrestler. Supposedly, they say after him, he'd be the champion if Usman was around, but he couldn't do that to Usman. Gil Burns is a great fighter. Power. Jiu-Jitsu is amazing. Couldn't do that to Kamaru Usman. But Leon Edwards could. He, in the moment where you looked like he lost the fight, came out and pulled it out the fight. And like I said, he's now the welterweight champion. Amazing victory. So yeah, I'd like to see Edwards and Usman next. I think you need the trilogy now. Usman's got one, Edwards has got the other. It'd be an amazing fight, and who knows? Maybe we could have a good little, not a great trilogy of fights. A good moment for the welterweight division. Maybe we could have a great rivalry here between Usman and Edwards, because everybody talks about Colby and Usman, but Usman's 2-0 against Colby. He's 2-0 against Masvidal, but Edwards has now equalled it, so it'd be interesting to see what happens in this next fight. But just my thoughts on the UFC 278. An incredible finish from Leon Edwards. Respect Rocky. He's the welterweight champion, and he is the worthy welterweight champion. But yeah, crazy finish and a crazy card. And yeah, that was just my very quick thoughts on this past pay-per-view. The next UFC is the fight night, I believe, between Cyril Gane and Tai Tuivasa, which is another very exciting card coming up. And then after that, we have the whatever the hell that Khamzat Chimaev and Nate Diaz card is. But yeah, I will preview and review that when they come. But yeah, UFC 278, a great card. And yeah, until next time.